In the very first 10 chapters of Genesis, we witness everything: creation, the beauty of Eden, humanity's fall, family feuds, extraordinary lifespans, a flood that reshaped the earth, and the rise of nations. It's a whirlwind of beginnings, and it sets the stage for the entire Bible. Today, let's walk through Genesis 1 to 10, step by step. In the beginning, the earth was formless and empty, with darkness covering the deep waters. Then, God's Spirit moved, and His voice broke the silence. "Let there be light." And light appeared. Across 6 days, creation unfolds like an epic symphony. Day 1 separates light from darkness, day and night. Day 2 lifts the sky above the waters. Day 3 gathers the seas and reveals dry land, then fills it with plants and trees, each producing fruit with seeds to continue their kind. On the 4th day, the sun, moon, and stars are placed in the heavens, not just for beauty, but to mark seasons, days, and years. On day 5, the seas swarm with fish and great creatures, while birds take flight across the skies. Then day 6 brings land animals of every kind, and finally, humanity. Let us make man in our image. Male and female, God creates them, entrusting them with dominion over creation, blessing them to be fruitful and multiply. Every herb, every tree bearing seed is given as food. At the end of it all, God looks over everything and declares it very good. And with the world complete, the story narrows to a garden, a man, and a woman, the beginning of humanity's journey. Chapter 2 retells creation through a closer lens. God forms man from the dust and breathes life into him. He plants a garden in Eden, abundant with trees pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the center stand two: the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river flows out of Eden, splitting into 4: Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates, watering the land and enriching it with gold and precious stones. Adam is placed in the garden to tend and keep it. God gives a single command: he may eat from any tree except one. See, in Adam alone, God declares it is not good. Animals are brought before him, and he names each one. Yet none is a true companion. So God causes Adam to sleep, takes a rib, and fashions Eve. At last, man and woman stand together, equal yet united. The first marriage, naked, unashamed, at peace in the garden. But in paradise, a choice awaits, one that changes the story of humanity forever. A serpent enters the scene, subtle and cunning. He questions Eve. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree? He twists God's words, assuring her that eating the forbidden fruit won't bring death, but knowledge, that she will be like God, knowing good and evil. Eve sees the fruit, pleasing to the eye, desirable for wisdom. She eats, then gives to Adam, who also eats. Instantly, their eyes open. They feel shame, sew fig leaves together, and hide. God calls, "Where are you?" Confronted, Adam blames Eve. Eve blames the serpent. Judgment follows. The serpent is cursed to crawl. Enmity is placed between his seed and the woman's. Pain enters childbirth. Toil curses the ground, and mortality becomes mankind's end. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. Yet even here God provides garments of skin to clothe them. Then he drives them from Eden, placing cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way back to the tree of life. Exiled from paradise, the story shifts to their children, and tragedy strikes again. Eve gives birth to Cain and then Abel, a farmer and a shepherd. Both bring offerings to God, Cain from his crops, Abel from the firstborn of his flock. God favors Abel's offering, and Cain burns with anger. God warns him, "Sin is crouching at your door, but you must rule over it." Cain lures Abel into the field and kills him, the first murder. God confronts him. "Where is your brother?" Cain replies, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Abel's blood cries out from the ground. Cain is cursed. The ground resists his labor, and he becomes a wanderer. Yet God marks him with protection, sparing his life. Cain's descendants establish cities and crafts, music, tools, livestock. Violence grows, epitomized by Lamech, who boasts of killing a man. But hope also emerges. Adam and Eve have another son, Seth, through whom people begin to call upon the name of the Lord. Generations now multiply, with extraordinary ages, and one man who walks straight into eternity. Genesis 5 traces the generations from Adam through Seth. Lifespans stretch for centuries. Adam lives 930 years, Seth 912, Enosh 905, and so on. But one stands apart, Enoch. At 65, he fathers Methuselah, then walks faithfully with God for 300 years. Unlike the others, his entry ends not with death, but with mystery. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Another notable figure is Methuselah, the longest living at 969 years. Finally, Lamech fathers Noah, declaring, "This one will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed." Noah's story begins here. But alongside Noah's rise, darkness spreads until God decides to reset creation. As humanity multiplies, strange tales appear. The sons of God take wives from the daughters of men, and the Nephilim, mighty men, giants of old, roam the earth. Interpretations vary, but the message is clear. Corruption grows. God sees the earth filled with violence and wickedness. His heart is grieved. Judgment is declared. Humanity's days are limited, and destruction is coming. But Noah is righteous, blameless in his generation, walking with God. God instructs Noah to build an ark, 300 cubits long, 50 wide, 30 high, with rooms, 3 decks, and pitch inside and out. He promises to establish a covenant with Noah. 2 of every kind of creature will enter, along with food supplies. Noah obeys all God commands. And then the sky opens. The flood begins. Noah, his family, and the animals enter the ark. 7 pairs of clean animals, 1 pair of unclean, and birds in 7s, enough to preserve life. At 600 years old, Noah watches the fountains of the deep burst and the windows of heaven open. Rain falls for 40 days and nights. Waters surge, and mountains disappear beneath 15 cubits of water. Every living thing on land perishes, except those in the ark. For 150 days, the waters prevail, covering the world. But God remembers Noah, and the flood waters begin to fade. God sends a wind across the earth, and the waters recede. The ark rests on the mountains of Ararat. After months, mountaintops appear. Noah sends out a raven, then a dove. The dove returns with an olive leaf, a symbol of peace, new life. After another week, it does not return. Finally, the earth is dry. God commands Noah to come out, bringing every creature to repopulate the land. Noah builds an altar, offering sacrifices. God promises, "Never again will I curse the ground because of man," even though every inclination of his heart is evil from youth. Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, they will not cease. From judgment to mercy, a new covenant is sealed, marked by a sign in the sky. God blesses Noah and his sons. Be fruitful and multiply. Fear of man now falls upon animals. Humanity may eat meat, but not with lifeblood still in it. The sanctity of life is declared. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans their blood shall be shed. For man is made in God's image. God establishes a covenant with Noah, his descendants, and every creature. The rainbow becomes the sign, a reminder that the earth will never again be destroyed by flood. But soon, trouble arises. Noah plants a vineyard, drinks of its wine, and lies uncovered in his tent. Ham sees and dishonors him, while Shem and Japheth respectfully cover him. When Noah wakes, he blesses Shem and Japheth, but curses Canaan, Ham's son. The new world is already marked by division. And as families spread across the land, the nations of the world begin to take shape. Genesis 10 is the table of nations, tracing the families of Noah's sons. Japheth's line settles along coastlands, forming maritime peoples. Ham's line includes Cush, Mizraim, and Canaan. Cush fathers Nimrod, a mighty hunter who establishes kingdoms, Babel, Nineveh, Calah, and more, centers of future stories. From Shem comes the line of Eber, ancestor of the Hebrews. The chapter maps languages, families, and territories, showing how humanity spread across the earth. From one family after the flood, nations now fill the world. And with that, Genesis 1 to 10 closes. Creation, fall, judgment, and renewal all play out, setting the stage for the next act, humanity's ambition at the Tower of Babel. From light spoken into existence to nations rising from Noah's sons, these first 10 chapters show us both humanity's brokenness and God's mercy. And the story has only begun. In our next video, we'll see what happens when the world speaks one language and builds one tower, reaching for the heavens. Subscribe so you don't miss Genesis 11, the Tower of Babel.